Hi, I have a new tutorial, so let's get started. Now on this one, I've already made the cover, which is something I usually do last, but I'm going to make another one because I am going to make more than one of these albums. Absolutely love it. For this one, I'm using the new Homestead by Authentique, and it's just adorable. So some of you may already have your paper. Now, one thing that I'm going to make available is let me back up here. The cover. So I used a fabric to do my cover, and actually I really like, I've got the hiccups. I like this fabric cover. So I'm going to make a kit available, and it will include all the little farm animals. You'll get the chicken, the horse, there's a piggy and a sheep, and then we have a mule, and then you'll have a goose. So there's 6 of the farm animals, and then there'll be 2 of the buttons, and this little ribbon for your closure will be in the kit, and also this cute doily. So those will all be in the kit. And then all you'll need to do is add some buttons, which usually everybody has some small buttons in their stash, and this twine, and there's the side or your spine. Oh, there's a cow. That's right, there's a cow. I knew we were missing one. So here's the back cover. Now you can see the fabric is here at the top, and I have been wanting to do a fabric cover, and I'm really pleased with how the fabric cover did turn out. You know, we used to do them many years ago on photo albums. So I kind of took the technique and took it to here. And then inside, since the pages aren't made yet, the inside is covered with paper. So the paper is on the inside. And the reason I did paper inside, it gives it the body and it gives it more strength. So that's why I did it. Now, the fabric likes to fray, so one reason I'm going to be doing another one is to show you a technique that I figured out. Now, this isn't quite the corner. There's corners that will bend over. So I will be getting some of the bend over corners for this one, just for this side where I cut it a little too short. So that will be the cover that we'll be remaking, and then the pages. So I'm going to pattern the pages somewhat after a baby album that I just did with Precious Memories, and but it'll be a little bit smaller for this one. And I'm still going to do the Precious Memories, but for Homestead, I just wanted to get started. So the pages are going to be 6 inches by 7.5, and I'm going to make one of the pages now so that you can get going on that. And I am using the Cartabella Navy. There's also a beautiful red that will go. So it will have the 5 pages. Now, the one thing I did different is when we go to make our hinges, they're going to be 1/2 inch gussets so that we have plenty of room. So you're going to cut 5 sheets at 8.5 by 6. And then, of course, your top one will be the 7.5 by 6. And I usually take that 1/16 of an inch off, and I'll show you why. So when we're making this kind of a page, we're going to put it down here on the 8.5 inch side, and you're going to score it 1/2. I turn it and I score it 1/2. And go ahead and do up your score marks. Burnish those, and then put your score tape down or whatever adhesive that you're using. And then on one end, because one end will go onto our hinges, but this will be our pocket side. And let's go ahead and attach our page. So I just removed that corner. And when you're using a darker paper, whether it be navy blue or black, everything will show, so make sure that tape is tucked in. Then we can remove the rest of our score tape. We have a nice straight page. Now, check it before you do adhere it down. Make sure it's not going to stick over. Even if you took off that 1/16 of an inch, sometimes you do have to just trim it down a little bit more, and I do need to trim mine down. So I can now put it back into my cutter. Can take that off. Much better fit. So I'm going to just start at this edge. Remove enough just to get things straight. And then we have a nice, perfect page. Okay, you're going to want to do that 5 times. So our page will come out to be 6 inches wide, 7.5 inches long, and you'll need 5 of those. And then when I come back on camera, you're going to need to have your chipboard cut. And I have 2 pieces of chipboard that are 6.5 by 8 for the cover. Then our page will sit in there just perfect. Won't look too big or too small. Now for the spine piece, because I mentioned we're going to have 1/2 inch gussets. You're going to want to cut this piece at 2 7/5, so 2 3/4 wide by, man, I need to look at my measurements are just off tonight, by 8. Sorry. So go ahead and get 2 front and back cover and that, and then your fabric. So what you'll want is, what I did is I just bought a yard from Joann's. And I'll tell you what, you can get probably 4 or 5 albums out of this. Now let me get my other piece. So what I did was I cut a 10-inch strip off of that. Or wait, no, take it back. 11.5 inch strip. And I'm going to be able to get 3 covers out of this. See that? How much? So you can get like 9 covers out of a yard if you want them to all be the same. And so go ahead and cut straight across. Get yourself an 11.5 inch piece, and then we'll be working with that and our chipboard, and you can get your pages all put together. And then when I get back here, we'll just go ahead and put our cover on. Put our fabric on our cover, and then we'll go on making our pages. I'm back. I hope I can get through this without coughing. Allergies are starting to settle in here. So excuse me. So cover's cut, and it measures the 6.5 by 8. Now for this project, this is a little different, and you may say, but I want to use Tyvek. If you strengthen your binding with it, you could probably put it with it. I don't see the need. And to be honest with you, it's not going to be strong enough because you need that little extra strength. So I cut a piece of just craft 6 by 8. So it's going to be the exact same length. And this is just going to be that extra strength back here on your hinge area. So once that is cut, and for this I'm just going to use my 1/2 inch score tape. And I think that you'll be surprised while we're putting this cover together. You may want to use a wet glue, and that's fine. I'm going to put it together with the fabric completely with score tape. Yes, it will hold, and if you think you can pull that fabric off, well, you can't. Trust me. But you could still take glossy accents around the edge. But what happens when you get some glues on fabric, it will seep through. And where it seeps through, it does get hard on the fabric, becomes hardened. So that is what I wanted to really avoid, especially in case it was where I didn't mat the front cover. I didn't want it to show. So I use my grid lines a lot. And I'm going to just kind of line this up here. Just kind of, it helps me just find a center. Not really too worried. But I'm going to lay down my spine piece. Just turn that over and make sure it's firmly down there. Now, just as if I'm putting an album together and covering it, now I'm going to use my 1/4 inch score tape. You do still need that spacing. Now, when I did this straight on fabric, when I was just doing my module, I still went ahead and spaced it. Now, the only difference is we're putting the score tape here, not on our chipboard. Whoops. And if you're not using a 1/2 inch score tape, that's okay. Just you do want to fill that up. Doesn't have to be filled all the way. Turn it over. Let me just cut off these overhangs. Now, one thing different is, I'm just going to leave that there for a moment because that's going to be on the inside and that's where we want it, and I really don't want to take it off right now. Just line that up. And line that up. Okay, the only time I would ever, just do an album where I only did that part was when I'm using this fabric. So now I'm going to also just lightly bend. Okay, now that's going to be the extra strength that we need. And you don't have to worry about putting it on the inside because we will be covering that with fabric. Now our fabric piece, I'm going to move my mat completely so I have a flat surface. So I cut this the 10.5 inches to move everything wide. So let me grab another. Now I am recommending that you do use your full sheets. If you have the 8.5 by 11 sheets, they're under $2 on my website. They are free shipping, but once you start using them too, you're going to be hooked. Let me tell you, they're just incredible. It will hold your fabric, but if you're not using them, that's okay. But you are going to use a little more score tape than normal. So one thing about using a fabric with stripes, you're able to just line up easily. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit wider than what I need. So I am going to use my ruler, and actually I like my quilting ruler best because it's really vivid on markings. And I'm just going to make sure I have that good inch from the top. And that looks really good. So I'm going to take a pen, just a regular pen, or you can do chalk if you sew or quilt, and I'm going to make a mark right here, right on my fabric. That's where I know I want to put my chipboard. Now before you even get started, I'm going to go ahead and cut off. Now this is the second cover I've made with this one strip of fabric, because the fabric was 60 inches. So if you don't want to buy a whole yard, just go into your fabric store and tell them you want 12 inches. And they will cut you 12 inches. And if you can't find this somewhere, please let me know, because I will put it together for you in the kit, and I will send you, and I'll figure out the price, but I will send you the fabric as part of the kit if you need it. So you can leave a message or even message me from my website. Now we know our cover's 8, so I need to cut this down to 8 inches, just short of 8 inches. Okay, so I cut it about 7 7/8. And with this, I am just going to lay it all over this whole back. Okay. Where'd my other one? There we go. Smooth it out. We do want to make sure this is down. Now for over here, no, that's not good. So I only need a partial piece, but I'm still going to cut this down. I'm going to cut it just a hair over 5 inches long. And even after cutting, see, I have this huge piece left, and I'm not having to use my rolls of score tape. Like that there. Okay, so it's all down, and this is just like your regular score tape, except it's much larger. And once you start using this, if you're making a lot of albums where you do craft shows or you sell them, this is a major time saver. Okay, now it's going to be extremely sticky. Now we have our mark here at the bottom, so that's where my bottom is going to go. And I'm going to just start with that one little edge, because I know I'm going to have to cut, and it's not going to be perfectly even, but that's okay. Now we're going to go over this with our bone folder. Go along those edges. This is not paper, so you're not having to worry about breaking those fibers. But it's down. It's down. Now it's going to move a little bit. But once you wrap it, and it's not going to move. You could pull it off, but it will not move. And we're going to then be putting also pattern paper on top, so you don't have to worry about it coming up. Now I'm going to use my ruler again. And what I want to do is I'm pushing it down so that it's a little more flat. Then I'm going to take my pen again, which I've lost. How do you lose a pen that fast? Okay, I'll use this one. And I'm just going to draw the line all the way across. So this is where, if you have fabric scissors, you want sharp fabric scissors. Let's just cut that right off. And this side is, I noticed I've got it's a little off, only because of the way I laid it down. Just like on paper. It's not straight, so I'm going to just straighten that edge up. Okay, sides are going to be quite simple. Even though it's a little more, I'm still going to go over just a hair, because I'm going to just use the striping as my guide. And then this side looks pretty good, so I don't think, oh, we will. I'm going to take a little off. Now the only thing really different with wrapping our chipboard is that we need to make sure of the bulk, because just let me, I've got to Windows Live Messenger, I've got to disable it so it doesn't come up, ruin our camera. There we go. Just like when we make our regular covers, except for we don't want our fabric to end up overlapping each other here because it'll have just way too much bulk. So one thing is different. When I cut my corners, you know how we leave that 1/4 of it or 1/8 of an inch? I'm actually going to leave quite a bit more. More of a 1/2 of an inch. Because we have to do a little bit of playing to start with. And we still want to be able to push that down. But again, we don't want a lot of bulk there. So I'm going to take off just a hair more. Just a sliver. And I'm going to concentrate it on that point. So when I bring this over and this over, so you still want to push it down just like paper. And right here, I can see I need to just clip that off. See, it's just a hair different than our paper. We're going to have paper on top of this. Now, I'm going to do it to every corner like that. So you kind of have to do a test drive. Everything right there. I am kind of indenting it a little bit so that my fabric, there we go, will lay nicely on top. Really no different, just and it seems to be always in that corner, so literally just take off a little bit at an angle. Push that in, and then when you bring it down, you should be fine. And if you're not, you flip it a little bit more. And there we go. Push it in just as if it was paper. You can see already that's going to be a little bulky. But I'm just basically concentrating on that area by that point. Because see, that has to go in. Now, one thing that you can also use if the fraying bothers you is the stop fray. But you'll notice you'll be able to manipulate your fabric a little more than if it was paper. But the stop fray, if the fraying is an issue, you definitely can do that. Okay, we're going to go ahead now. Put my pens up so that I know where they are at. I'm going to remove, you don't want to gouge it, it is fabric, so it's going to, there we go, adhere a little different. Try and take it from the angle. But you've got paper underneath there. We're going to remove that. So we still want to be able to have that nice indentation as if it was a hinge there, because we're going to be putting that paper on the top. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch score tape, and then also you can, if you are a sewer and you have the pinking shears, and you know, you can also serge this. So if you have a serger, you could also serge your fabric beforehand if you wanted. And just like as if it was paper, but we are using the 1/2 inch all the way, top and bottom. And coming up, I've got to get caught up on a few other tutorials from my older albums that everyone's been asking for. But I'm going to be, especially if you're a quilter, you're going to love this. I'm going to be doing a tied quilt front on one of my albums here in the future. And I'll be doing another one with fabric. So I'm really excited to do those for you. I've always loved paper crafts. But, I mean, I started out, I sew, making wedding dresses, children's clothing. So I love both. And I really wanted to incorporate some of the fabric into my albums. Because I also have a ton of fabric. Okay, just like our albums, the only thing is when you take off from your fabric, it's just a little harder to get a hold of. There we go. So bend your fabric back and that helps get a hold of it. Now the only thing, let me give you a heads up. Your fabric holds a little different than your paper, of course, and when it gets near that score tape, trust me, it will suck it right in. And so we have to go a little bit slower than with paper so we don't wrinkle our fabric, but nothing too major. And if there's any score tape hanging over on these edges, I don't worry about it with fabric. Actually a benefit, so don't worry about any hangovers. That sounds funny. Okay, just like paper, we're going to start at the top. Now, I always tell you in my videos, paper will stretch, well, so will fabric, even more so. So do pull it down taut. Get it caught on that first strip, and then lay your second. You'll have like 2 strips there of score tape. Okay. Because you want to make sure you're pulling it way good over that top of your chipboard. And your arms are going to stick, yes. Your fabric will start fraying. And just go ahead and clip those areas off. Or pull them, whichever. Pull it, see, it'll come up. But this is all going to be under paper, so no fears. Mostly if it's in your way. Turn it around. And let's do the same thing to the top. Smooth it all down. Now corners, do the same as if we were doing paper. But you kind of have to work both hands. You'll notice it when you're working it. So on here, I just want to get all of that down. If you have any fraying, just cut it off. And that will be under paper. Okay, right here, see how it's not quite laying down, and that's going to probably drive me nuts. Even though paper's going on top of it, I'm just going to take a 1/8 inch piece of score tape. Along the edge. there where I have a little, there we go. Just push your fabric. If it's not paper, you won't tear it. Okay, now we have to do just like we would do on a normal album. So we have our score tape exposed. So let's push that fabric down because we do need to get a bend here. And you want that fabric to grab a hold of it so that it's nice and smooth and not crinkled up in there. And yes, you're going to have a lot of this little fabric fibers everywhere. So air, cans of air, cleans things up really fast. Okay, there's our cover. And yeah, you'll be kind of cleaning it up as we go anyway. And that is your fabric cover. Isn't that awesome? I love it. So before we do the outside, we're going to do the inside. And since we are, this is my second cover, let me show you. I did use the plaid on this one. I want to choose a different one. But I want it to definitely go with the blue. And this paper is so fun. So fun. That would be a fun one on the inside, wouldn't it? Oh, choices, choices. I love this paper. Really tempted. Let's see, I think maybe so why I don't like to do my decorating too much on camera and put you guys through this. This is what I do till I find the exact paper that I was wanting, and we'll give it a different look. I really like it. Now on the inside, it does take 2 sheets. And your cover is 8 inches long. So we want to just cut it about 1/8 of an inch shorter because of the border. You want a little bit of border. So we'll take that, just lay it down here. And I still, oh, I like that. I'm going to ink my edges, and for this one I'm going to use walnut stain. And again, you're going to need a pretty strong hold. Oops. Sometimes it'd be nice to have someone crafting with me so they can tell me where I put my stuff. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch score tape. I even thought about getting the 1 inch out for this, but sometimes I fight with that 1 inch. It's really sticky and it doesn't, I have trouble laying it flat, but I love it for big projects. So we're just going to do this exactly like an album if it was just paper. And that's the thing, always just work your album as if it is no different than how you would normally do it. So if you're wanting to use something different for your covers and it's not paper, excuse me, say maybe burlap. Now burlap is a little difficult to work with, but you can do it. Treat it as if it's paper. Don't treat it any different. I know we sometimes start working with other textures And we get that freak out feeling a moment. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with this. You pick it up and you do it. That's all. Okay, I'm laying this down exactly like I normally would. Go around those edges. Be careful because you do have those, you know, hinges, and you can still stick your bone folder through there, and I know you'd be really sad. Now I'm just going to lay my top piece down here because we are going to overlap it a little. Straighten it up as much as possible because I know I got a little off there, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut it. And those edges, get rid of that white. Okay, we'll take off all the backing. Turn the heater off. I was really excited when I first saw this paper. Because I don't know, I know I've shown pictures before, but right out my back craft window here, I can see my horses. So I got a little off, but that's not unusual for me. So me and farm just go together really well. Now right here, see those strings? I'm going to just clip those, not getting into the fabric. And one other thing I should have mentioned, and I did learn this from Susan Chamberlain and Patty from New Lady 1949. You can always take a little bit of glossy accents on the inside here if you aren't feeling secure. Just a thin line around the tape, but I didn't find it necessary. So hinges, we have to now you're going to have to be really careful also. You'll notice that this paper is not quite as thick as some others. Okay. But as you're getting it down in there, you'll also notice a little bit of puckering here and there. That's okay. Gently. Now see how we're getting that indentation? Love it. Now you can use your finger if you're not feeling secure. But do not push. Just encourage it to lay down and help let the book put the pressure on the paper. Okay, now you have a book with a fabric cover. And I love it. I absolutely love the look of this for this paper line. It just really, love it. Just love it. Now, like here where I got off, that's going to be okay because I'm going to make, actually, we'll be making a pocket back here. But at this time, you need to check. Okay, do you want that more in the front? Do you want it more in the back? It will get covered. And right here we have some strings going through, so. Awesome. Cover. Let's go ahead and mat our front. Now, when I matted the front here, I had chose the collage type paper. And for the back, then I used the boards. I'm not sure. Let me look and see what we're going to use this time. Now, for for this one, because I chose not to have a fold over, and if you bought it in the add-on kit, then you're going to have some of this. And let me make sure, yeah, I am going to use a glue gun with this. Okay, yours is going to be measured better than mine. I'm just cutting it. Should have had it cut. So you're going to use 2 of the 15-inch pieces. Well, there's only the 2 in there. Put this back. Let me bring my ruler back. Basically, like I said, I use my grids down here a lot. So I want to put it at the 4-inch mark. Just going to mark it where the 4 is. So I restarted my computer today, and now the Windows Live Messenger keeps wanting to pop up. Sorry about that. So let's get our glue gun. You can use a fabric glue if you prefer on this. So I'm going to put the glue on the back here. Make sure your glue gun is on hot. If you have a high and a low setting, don't use your low setting. Let's put it in about 1 inch. Ow, and it will be hot. Now I'm just going to make a line on the book. Let's do the same thing for the back side. Here's my 4 inches. Keep that little guy handy this time. Off, so I'm just going to push it up there. Okay. Now, the reason it is so long right now, and the reason I chose this elastic ribbon, not only for its look, we are going to have 1/2-inch spines in there, and we need a lot of room. And so you don't want to cut this at all. Do not cut it until, don't cut it until we get our pages in, and then you decide if you want it to be shorter. So for our cover then, I'm going to cut the pattern paper. As you can see, I cut it quite a bit shorter because I want that border. So we're going to cut it 6 by 7. No, 6 by 7 1/4. So let's choose the front and the back piece. The spine, I'll just use my scraps. And I think this time I will definitely, let's go something different. Really like this one. And for the back, just starts over. I'm seeing I want to kind of match. I'm seeing again this one, but I know I don't have a big enough piece. Oh, maybe I do have a big enough piece. Let's see here. You know what? I do. It's perfect. Okay, so this was the other half of the inside. I'm going to use this piece. I'm going to use this piece because I am seeing in the sheep. This is the same pattern, so I like it together. It will also save me a piece of paper. And let's go ahead and cut 6 inches wide. I want to double check. Yep, by 7.5 inches long. Okay, now this is going to be a starting point for you. And oh, one thing to note, see how much harder it is to see your spine as it's laying flat. But I want to do this as the starting point to make sure I like the border amount. And when working with this, we do have to fold a lot so we can see. I do like the 6 by 7.5 inch. You could even go smaller if you want more room. And since I like it, I'm going to cut my sheet paper now. For the front cover of a like this. I am just really loving this paper. And then for the center, see, I have different scraps, all kinds of leftovers from when I did the other albums, so I'll be able to use them. And that's one reason I don't like to cut whole sheets. I like to wait on these smaller areas. Okay, happy with that. Let's go ahead and I'm going to ink the edges. Now, I don't usually do the covers first. And one of my design team members, she always does her covers first. And so I thought, I'm going to give this a try, and I kind of like it. But the only problem is, if you're not sure about your hinges and how much you're going to decorate your page, you're going to be stuck. That's one reason I was hesitant, but I knew I was going to use my 1/2 inch gussets. So I went ahead and made a hinge system first, made sure it was going to be the right size. So that's kind of the only drawback. If you decide you don't want that much embellishments, but kind of personal preference, but I really liked it. Okay, so I'm going to use my stripes as visuals. So I know that I need my page to come here. And I am going to be using the 1/2 inch again for strength and durability because I need extra coverage. Now, you can also use your 6 by 6 inch score sheets. These are absolutely incredible also. Since I know it's already 6 inches, I'm going to have to cut it down because of my 1/2 inch. Little overlapping never hurt to have it extra. And then that way too, I save my 1/2 inch. I don't have to use my whole roll. Even though it wouldn't take my whole roll, it just extends it more. I have something else fun to show you though. I've been making flowers with the bigger sheets. I have to show that in another video because you're going to love it. They are so incredible, these sheets. You can also cut out shapes, glitter them, emboss them. It's just awesome. Okay, remember, I'm going to use that as my marking. I want it to be on top of my ribbon. And we're going to do the same over here. Kind of get my visual. Again, it looks like I can use my back side of the line here. And I want to match as close as I can, top and bottom. Now in these 6 by 6 inch sheets, you do get 5 sheets, and I do save them for the bigger items, like album covers. And see, if I'd been smart at the moment and used this before, I'd only have to use the 1/2 inch score tape top and bottom. And all I have to do is go along here. Plus it saves time, and it really does save your hands. After a while, my fingers get tired. Now I'm going to make sure too I have no score tape on the edges. Once again, I lost my marking, so let's turn it this way. Okay, this back one. Now really eyeball it and decide where it's going to go, because once it's down, it's down. And if you're using the stripes, sometimes your eyes just start playing tricks. You know, you don't even have to do your spine in paper if you want to leave it. One thing I love about this fabric album, do you see how we're working on a flat surface? Love my flat surfaces. So there's our back, and there's our front. Now we just need to decorate it. One thing that I did first was I chose all my embellishments, which as you can see isn't a lot. Now these little farm animals you'll be using, if you like, on your covers. And then we're going to punch the flowers. So let me stop the video, get all my supplies out, and we'll come back and put all this on. One of the items, along with, there's a 6 by 6 pad, is the Authentique Life cards. And this is part of the line. They're journaling cards. They are the 3 by 4. They are so adorable. You can use these for so much more. So what I'm going to do is I want to go through here, excuse me, and oh, that's a cute one. I'm going to pull out a couple of the cards. And so when you're trying to figure out your cover, the best way to do is just to get different things that speak to you, basically. What do you want your cover, you know, to really look like? It's even a really cute one. You know, even just the hello, maybe giving this one a little different style. Oh, here we go. I found it, I think. The best thing to do is if you're really wanting to know how do you layer, well, this is how I layer. I'll tell you what, my design team member, Cheryl, I just envy her. She's just, I'm just amazed. She just layers so beautifully, but it's her style. And it's just amazing. One thing I want to use is my burlap squares. And so if you, I am so sorry, did get the kit, then this burlap square will be in your kit and your paper kit. And the thing is, it's nice and big, so you've got plenty of room to work with. So I know this is going to be too big. And I really don't want, personally, just the square shape. So I'm just going to kind of round it. One thing that it reminds me of when I round it is that, you know, those bales of hay, and I don't want it to be perfect because I'm also, now this gets messy, going to just start fraying pulling my fibers. I want that country look. I want it to look like that straw hut or bale of hay. I want fringes. I want a lot of texture because we've got the fabric on here, so we've really added some interest, and we're going to add some more interest. So, and I'm going to have it just like my other one. I do want it to stick off my page. I'm going to bring that down so we have more of the, there we go. And when I cut it, I'm not really, you know, concerned about a perfect size, because I wouldn't be concerned if it was a bale of hay. It's just going to be missized anyway. Thinking I really like the hello. And this is what we're going to do. We're just going to do some layering. All right, the simple life is a happy life too. That one's really cute. And again, we can do some more cutting. Maybe we won't even use it. Now, I don't want just that straight look. So I have the little tool, but to be honest with you, I like my scissors better. So I'm just going to open my scissors. Corners can be tricky. I'm just going to go back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to tear up that paper. And as I'm working it, I am also crumbling it a little bit. I'm not being careful, because I don't want it to be like a perfect new piece of paper. I want it to have a little bit of shape out of the ordinary. And yes, I just cut it in, and that's okay too, because we want it to look a little old, or I do. And then there's probably going to be a flower there anyway. I'll tell you, I'm so happy with this paper. They did such a great job. I'm going to turn that corner, and that blue is going to start showing a little bit, but I love it. I'm going to bring this one up a little bit too. All right, it doesn't want to. Take my crochet hook. There we go. Now I want to use my ink where it's torn there. Just get inside. Now this edge, because we're seeing a little more of the white from the back side, there's no printing, I'm going to darken that up. And right now we are just going to work on laying everything down. Where do we want it? Last time I did have that at the corner because I didn't want to cover my my old car here. So I was trying to save a lot of the picture. So maybe I will bring this one down more towards our center. We can have the hello peeking right outside there like that. Now again, this is probably a little too perfect for this album, so I'm not going to be as rough. I am going to beat it up a little bit. And I feel the important thing when you're layering, don't over analyze it. Don't over, oh my gosh, I don't like it there. Put it down. If that's what you like, leave it as we're going along, because now we're going to make some flowers. And my two favorite punches for flowers, these ones are a little more of the rugged look. And I also have my cut and emboss, so you can, any flowers you want, 5 petals. I love the 5 petal flower. You can do smaller ones, any ones you like, but I'm going to start with my big one. So we're only going to have one big one, and looking at the colors, I want to see some of the papers I've already used. And it looks like I definitely want to incorporate this one. Love it. So my first one, my first big flower is going to be 3 petals. And you can either go out and buy all the special flower tools, or there we go. If you have a tablet, maybe you have a piece of this foam. Love this foam. It works great. Here's one of the McGill pads you can get. To be honest with you, I use this one the most. And these little balls and tools are perfect and great for flower making. If you don't have them, that's okay. Let me show you. One thing you want is a ballpoint pen that's rounded, or you might even find a child's toy. It's amazing what you can use. Bone folder. Pen. So, I think we're all stuck with score tape over there together. They're all jumping out to be used. Okay, I'm just going to take the side. I want the flower side up. You can ink the edges of these flowers, because this one is a darker print with the white. I probably should. To be honest with you, I don't usually do it till after, but I just want to show you. So I'm going to do that to all 3 petals. And then you can decide, do you want them all 3 the same? Do you want one to be a little different by turning it over? And I'm going to make all 3 of these my dark side up, and then I'm going to take a smaller one and it will be the light side up to give our center a little more definition. Now you can also use your store-bought flowers. So I'm going to show you, if you don't have the tool, but you have a pen that has a rounded, or even some of the older Cricut tools. Oh, wow, I've got glue, tape on everything. Sorry. Is this one. It's a little bit bigger, but they will work. Just don't use anything pointy. And what you're going to do is you're just going to press those centers. But if you have the ball, so if you've got a coupon, and you can get one of these balls, these sets, they're really invaluable. And when you're not having to buy a ton of flowers, maybe just a few of the extra flowers for accents, they're just so worth it. So I'm just doing the center. I'm just making them so they stand up. And I'm going to use my hot glue gun for this. I'm just going to put a dot, and I'm going to stagger our petals. Now, as it's drying, I do like to push them together. And if they start moving, hurry before it dries and just move them. You'll have time to work. Now this one, I'm not going to use the ball because I want it, whoops, to stick up a little bit more. Go over here a little bit. And then you can choose your centers. Do you want pearls on this? Do you want buttons? Now I used old sewing buttons, and I'll be using them again. I just don't have them out, so now I would just hot glue the sewing button in. Now what you can do is you can start like laying out some of your flowers as you're going. So we're going to make 2 more, and we're going to use the small punch for these other ones. That one I definitely don't want to cut my collage sheet. I would be using my 6x6 sheet for this, but I'm out. I have to go down to the warehouse this morning and pick it up. Oh, we're going to be making 4. Let me see. One of them has, okay, we're going to make 2 that have 3 petals. I think I'll just go ahead with the back side. And then my 4th one, I actually want to have 4 petals. Oh, that's cute. So I'm going to go ahead and punch out 4. 3, 4. And I'm going to start with this one. And you can add more or less flowers. It's totally up to you. Now for this one, we're just going to pinch those petals together. This is going to give us a little different look. And I'll tell you what, grabbing your punches and just punching out petals is actually a quick way without getting too frustrated. And then it's also, if you have a favorite TV show and you don't want to be crafting, you sit your kids in front of the TV with all your scrap pieces of paper and you give them all punches. you'll have tons of petals, let me tell you. So for this one, we're not going to worry about pushing it in or anything. And I do always look to see which one do I want on top. So I want that one to be the top one. Glue in the middle. You can use a wet glue for this if you don't want to use your glue gun. Just stagger your petals each time you put them in, and you'll notice how full this gets. And if you want it even fuller, just punch out a few more layers. It gets hot. And then again, it will have a button center. I just don't want to stop to go get them. And then we'll just kind of start laying things out. Now for these, I'm going to do just like I did on the big one. These aren't going to have a small center because I want to put a button in the center. Now, I know I've had a lot of people say, but I don't know how to decorate the cover. I have to be looking. Do you know what? Try, if you can. Try not to go on and just, search other people's albums. You might want to just, in your free time when you're looking through Pinterest. But I have found if I try to do it, because sometimes I'll look and say, oh, what did they put here? I'm just at a total loss. And then I totally get tied up maybe into what I'm looking at and forget that I need it to be my own style. So don't let yourself get lost in the searching and going crazy on the internet. Just start doing. Once you start, you'll be amazed. I'll be totally lost sometimes, and I'll just start throwing things out on my desk. Literally throw it out and start picking buttons, picking just all through your stash, and you're going to come up with some really fantastic ideas. And your husband will be happy because you will be using what you have on hand. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again. So I really want to make those petals stand up in the center. Now when you're doing this and you're pushing, and if you find you go through the center and make a hole and you're going to think your petal's ruined, it's not, because you're going to put that one in the middle or on the bottom. So we're going to do just like before, but I'm not going to be doing a lot of pushing down because I want them to stay perky. Put those petals up. And this last one, I'm just going to hold it for a minute. Maybe we'll just bring. See, we'll just be doing a lot of different playing here, deciding what we like, if we even want it there. And you can bring in your fabric flowers, or your fabric flowers would be just gorgeous made with this to accent it. If you make fabric flowers with strips of the fabric, or you can bring in your burlap flowers to add a little extra texture. I just think this is a really fun all-around album. And it's going to be even funner when we get into it. Okay. Let's see, here comes the playing part. Now one thing that I didn't put is, do we want our burlap lace? So we have to make room for that. And where did I put some? But I know I want the string. Oh yeah, we're going to have it. Just go ahead and cut off what I'm needing. And see, once you start playing with it and adding other elements, now we're also going to be having the twine. So I shall return. Okay, so we also have the twine, which is going to wrap around my front because I really do like that look. So I'm just going to lay it here. So see, we're just laying things down. Now, one thing I do want is some wording down here, and I noticed on the cards we have some words. So let's see. So fun. We've already used hello. Let's see if we can get anything else. If not, we'll take it from our paper or our stickers. Okay, sticker sheets. Absolutely love their sticker sheet. But because they are stickers, we need to turn them into something a little more stronger by backing them with our cardstock. And I'm thinking little moments. Oh, wait. Let's put that one back. So here's the sticker sheet. We have homemade. That's the one we want. So just taking one of your, either your cardstock that you're making your pages out of, I have a piece of the paper that I used for my when we were putting the book together. So I'm just going to put the sticker on here because we are going to, I want to pop this up. Go ahead and cut that out. These scissors are so much better for that. Or use your cutter. And don't worry about super perfection because that's why we use inks in paper crafts. We're going to blend it all together. So to heck with that perfection there. Time for a new sponge. Now, I'm just going to move this around a little bit and decide. Yeah, I do want it to stick up. So when I'm doing that, crochet needle works great. You could even use your bone folder. It's going to help give me that more rounded. I like it, so I think it's a go. Like I said, try not to overanalyze it if you can, because if you do, you're going to get flustered. Now, if you want, you can also do some more layering in the back. Actually, this is where I think I'm going to use our little pig. He's going to be sitting here. And so that's where we can also fill in now. We can fill in with buttons. You can fill in those blank spots with little brass ornaments, different things like that. I don't worry about those empty spaces because that's where your fillers come in. Okay, so let's get started. Now I'm going to show you how I do this. I've got a picture in my mind. It's not going to be exact, I promise. When I go to lay this back down, things will probably be moved, and that's okay. But I am going to use my center piece here. I'm just going to put down some glue. Burlap, it's going to be hot, so try not to really stick your finger there like I normally would. You just don't want that to move is all. But you don't want it completely stuck down, or you don't have that like different looks. Check your areas, but we're going to go ahead and put down our card. So I'm going to kind of check this again and see. Now, I am going to use my hot glue here. I don't want it like completely down. I want it to be up a little bit. Now, if I see that, maybe that's just up too much. But all these different elements that we're going to use are going to bring it down even more. I think I like that more at the top. See, and things are going to change as to our placement. Now, you could also use your phone, take a picture, so if you want it to be perfect as to your original layout, you can do that. Now, I'm got a little hen there. I kind of don't want to completely cover her up. I'm really wanting to get, oh, there we go, our 3 flowers. Remember, I'm going to be bringing my burlap over. You know, this may call for 1 more flower. See, we've kind of changed the way it looks. I think I may be adding a 3rd flower, but I'm going to wait until I get my burlap and other things down. And then, where's my little, oh, let's go. We'll be putting, oh, well, I have a donkey. It's a little different. Don't know if I really like him, so I think I'll get a new package. And I'll use the pigs and the sheep, since that's more of what my paper is. So again, we're going to do some playing. We're going to put the flowers aside. Now I'm going to bring my book up. The reason being, I need to see where do I want this and how far of a hangover do I want on. And that looks good. I'm literally just marking it with my eye, and I'm taking this straight down, and I'll tell you why. With this kind of ribbon, I don't have a flat area for it to grab a hold of. So I'm just going to put the glue down, and I wouldn't be doing this with any other lace, but because it's just wholly like this, and I'm not worried because I'm putting the ribbon, the string. So I've got my string, my very long string. I've doubled it, lay it right on top, and sometimes you can get really yucky areas just from the machinery. So I'm going to lay that down. Now I'm going to start single. I want it to be a little more staggered. So I'm putting right on top. I'm wrapping it on the inside. Pull it out. Wrap it again, and you can keep wrapping this and wrapping this. Just remember, keep it pretty much over, and I don't want it to be perfect. Okay. I'm crossing it, and I'm going to bring it back again. Now remember, you need to keep about 1 inch or 2 away from there, from your fold. You can go around once, you can go around twice. Now when I bring it here, I'm crossing these over, and then I'm lifting it and I'm bringing this way. Keeping them pretty even. I'm bringing this way. So I just cross those underneath there like that. See how it pulls it together in the middle? Up. And then decide where do you want it to tie, towards the top. So you can now move this a little bit. Bring it a little higher. Make my knot. And then make my bow. And I am going to double that bow. Gives you a much nicer knot on top. And then it also strengthens it. Cut my strings. I do just want them to be a little floppy. Now, this is probably, yeah, it is going to change our flower. Yes, it is. So let me lay this flat again. Oh, no, let's go back to here. So this little ribbon, you see how it has the white crochet? So what I'm doing is I'm going along the top of this white crochet, just kind of dotting each one because I want it to lay down. Or you can use a fabric glue, but that holds it down. So, see, and a lot of times as we're going along doing our cover, things change because of a different item that we may put on there. Sure did. So we're going to bring those down even further. And again, just look at it, see, is that what you like? Move things around if you need to move your bow. Now I am going, this will be glued down once I decide if I like it there, and I'm not liking it. Mine's up just a little too high for where I want my flowers. So let's loosen it. I'm going to bring it down. This time I won't double knot it until, and I think that will be fine. Much better, because I do want that cluster. And again, just kind of, okay, looks good. So what I'm going to do is just start gluing things down. Trying to somewhat leave my flowers this time in place. And see that little chicken? Because I don't like, that's something I didn't care much for the goose, but I do like the chicken, so I think I'll, because I've got to get another, I think I'll have my little chicken, this little one right here, he's going to go there, or she. Okay, smash those guys in together. Now for my homemade, where if you rounded it, so your glue's going to go on the end, more of in your flat side, and it'll go right there. Or you can use a pop dot. And then when you've got it down, see I'm kind of I'm pinching it together till it holds. I'm going to put just a hair there. And again, I'm going to use my little animals to fill in, and I think I may end up making another flower. Just kind of get those white spots that are showing. And then my buttons. So, I have a blue one and a plaid one. I'm going to use the blue one here. I wanted to give it the look that it was being held on by the button. So I'm going to take another piece of the twine thread, or you may already have some that's really thin. Mine isn't, so I'm going to have to separate it. I'm just going to feed it through. Yes, I am wetting it, and it's gross, but it's the only way to do it unless you want to put a little glossy accents on the end and wait for it to dry. I'm going to cut that off anyway, so. Go ahead and knot a little button. Cut that off. Glue on the back. And there's your button. Now there'll be more filling in, and that's something actually I'll probably do after, and we'll go back, because I'm not going to do this part. I don't want to cut any of my full sheets of paper, so it's going to be done after we do the inside. And in the beginning of the video, there was the section to make your pages. So go ahead and make 5 of them, but we're going to pick up in the second video. So this will be video number 1, and I will do the construction of the pages. The decorating, debating, because you know I'm not the best decorator on camera. I think what we'll do is we'll do the construction so that you can get them done. And I will get everything cut out and ready to be matted so that we can at least mat it together on camera and then put it in the book. Because then I don't do my final decorating till after it's in the book. And that will ensure that we don't get it too thick so that our cover doesn't want to close. Okay, here's for my back one. Same thing. Ah, and it just went the wrong space. It's hot glue. You can get it off if you hurry and burn yourself. We're good. Okay, now on the back, I also want to use the same, excuse me, darn allergies, the same lace. And I did, let's see, yes, I tied one strand of the string around. So let me go and get this cut. So let me just get a look here. I can kind of mark it just right here on the edge. I'm doing is I'm kind of squishing that glue. Now before I tie it down, I'm going to lift it up here. I'm just going to hit those white areas somewhat. Just a little bit. Okay. Another piece of twine. I think I only wrapped this one once. Yeah. So this one I only did once. So I'm just going to take it from behind. And put this one more towards the top. Scissors. Those pieces. Now, one thing that I'm going to do here is we're going to put some glue on the back side of our knot so it will be held in place. And let's pick a card. Love this one. I just love the richness of the colors. It's going to go on the back side. Again, I'm going to rough up my edges. And I'm not going as deep as on the front because this will a lot of times just be laying there on the back side, and so it's going to get smashed anyway when people lay the book down. But I still want that roughness look. Now I'm going to use score tape on this. I'm not going to use the glue. And no, I wouldn't usually use my 1/2 inch, but it's what I grabbed. You can layer this in the back too if you want. Gosh, you can really decorate up your back. Just remember it's got to lay flat. It's going to be, you know, probably laid down a lot, so you don't want anything that will come off. So that will be my back. No, I'm kind of tempted on this one. I may just leave this and decorate. See, this one I did the paper, but I'm really liking the fabric, so we will see what happens as we're decorating more. Really like the fabric look. And there's our inside. So you do have the twine in here, and we will be doing just like I did on the baby album. I'll show you this one so you know what I'm talking about. So on this one, the baby album that I did, I'm actually going to be doing some of the front, some of the inside like this. The only thing that won't be in this one is the waterfall. I will be doing a tutorial on the baby album and include that waterfall, but because we've got such a narrow area, I'm not going to have that type of waterfall. It's going to be a little different, so you'll still love it. And then we'll have our pocket back here, and so your twine won't get in the way. But there's the cover, and I will get the buttons put on. And you have your elastic closure if you use this. Stands up very nice. It's very strong, very sturdy. And there is how you decorate the cover of our Homestead album. And one thing we'll do after all the pages are in, I'll get the little animal elements on here. And like I said, then I'll probably go back and find little pieces from the paper that I loved and Fussy cut out, and we'll put those on the cover as we're going along. Then we have our button, and there's our cover. So I hope you enjoyed this part 1. Get your 5 pages made that we did in the beginning, because we're going to build on these, and you'll need 5 of them to work on. And then of course the extra papers, whatever you've chosen, because we'll be doing the flaps, the pockets, everything. And we'll get those made, and we'll get those put on in part 2. Hope you enjoyed making the cover, and let me know what you think about the fabric. I love it. I think I'm going to be using it a little bit more in albums. It really expands what we can do and add different textures to our books. Thanks for watching.